You're inside a pattern right now that started forming long before your conscious awareness registered it. The fact that your attention stopped here, that these words caught you mid-scroll, that speaks to something beyond random chance. This transmission is designed to complete something you've been carrying, a weight you didn't know had a name. By the time this ends, you'll understand why certain lessons only appear once, why some energies never need to return after they've been fully integrated. Life whispers right before it shifts. There's an almost invisible pull, something that tells you to look again, take the longer route, pause for just one more second when every habit screams to rush forward. You might not register it consciously in the moment. It could be a simple nudge pushing you to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in years, or a quiet curiosity that makes you click on something that feels like it's addressing your exact situation. That tiny pause between impulse and action carries more weight than most people ever recognize. A subtle signal emerges when the universe knows you're finally tuned in to receive what's been waiting. When you're searching for direction, clarity, or just an answer that resonates as true, that craving doesn't materialize from nowhere. It comes from alignment taking shape beneath the surface of conscious thought. Systems thinkers describe this as an input phase, the exact moment when new information enters a living system and begins influencing it from the inside out. You sitting here now exist in that phase. You're not lost. You're not behind. You're processing. Every question, every restlessness you've been carrying represents a system preparing itself to shift into a new configuration. How does reality manage to drop clues exactly when people become ready to perceive them? How does a specific phrase or random post align with the very thought you've been wrestling with for weeks? It's as if timing folds in on itself, placing the right message in view just as you become capable of understanding it. Some dismiss this as coincidence, but there's a deeper pattern beneath coincidence, a kind of hidden order that operates on feedback and resonance. Your emotions function as frequency markers. The energy you carry, whether calm or chaotic, tends to attract information that matches it. When you're open and curious, signals start aligning themselves to that wavelength. That's systems thinking in motion, energy matching energy, data syncing with readiness. Have you ever spent months confused about something and then heard a single sentence that instantly made the knot unravel? The information itself wasn't new. You were finally calibrated to interpret it. Cognitive science offers insight into this mechanism. The brain constantly filters billions of sensory inputs every second, discarding almost everything that doesn't seem important while tuning in only to what matches current needs or goals. In psychology, this is called selective attention, the same mechanism behind why you suddenly start noticing a car model everywhere after you buy one yourself. You didn't summon new cars into existence. You simply started noticing what had been present all along. When you encounter that perfectly timed message, reality isn't suddenly switching tracks. Your consciousness is expanding its focus to include something it had filtered out before. That realization changes how you view timing. Maybe nothing actually arrives late. Maybe moments, people, and answers don't come to us. They become visible once we're clear enough to see them. Readiness doesn't wait for opportunity. It reveals what was already there. The world has been quietly preparing a path behind the scenes. Only now, as your awareness reaches a certain threshold, the doorway appears where there seemed to be only wall. This isn't about predicting turning points or decoding mystical signs. It's about recognizing them in real time, noticing when the whisper changes tone. The closer you listen, the more you realize you're not waiting for life to shift. The shift has already started. You're just catching up to it. That understanding alone starts to lighten something inside you. Maybe you stop asking when will it happen and start asking what's already unfolding. That's the moment openness transforms into momentum. Change doesn't show up knocking on your door. It's been waiting in the hallway for your awareness to invite it in. From here, You begin to notice how those single appearances function. A conversation that lasts an hour, a stranger's kind word, even this transmission, they fit into the same system. They don't return because they don't need to. Once their purpose completes, the energy moves forward, freeing space for the next alignment to reach you exactly when you're ready again. Sometimes something enters your life just once, a person, a single sentence, a small window of time, and that's sufficient. It doesn't return. That one appearance shifts something inside you that repetition never could. Strange how something so brief can leave a mark that lasts years, while other things that linger never seem to matter much. You might think it's the length of time that makes something meaningful, but it's the clarity it delivers while it's present. Not everything is designed to come back around. Some people aren't meant to stay. Some lessons aren't meant to be repeated. Some chances only make sense once. We hold on because we believe that lasting equals important. But in truth, some connections are made to ignite change rather than maintain it. They pass through your life the way a spark hits dry grass, quick, bright, and irreversible. Maybe that sudden flash is enough to light a new path without ever needing to repeat itself. We struggle with that idea. We call it loss. We fight to reopen doors that have already served their purpose. What if endings aren't actually losses? What if they're integrations, signs that the energy exchange completed its loop and moved on? Think about times you've met someone who appeared briefly, yet reshaped the way you think or see yourself. You might not talk anymore, but something they said still echoes in your choices today. That's not absence. That's absorption. It doesn't take a lifetime for two paths to permanently alter each other. Sometimes you cross at the exact moment you both need a specific mirror, a reminder of what's missing or what's waiting inside you. It could be a kind word that helps you trust yourself again, or a disagreement that forces you to speak up for the first time. Two people can meet for 5 minutes and unknowingly redirect each other's future. When you look back, it almost feels as if that moment had been scheduled long before either of you knew it. On an energetic level, that makes sense. Systems thinking teaches that exchanges naturally seek completion. Energy circulates until both sides have fulfilled the needed transformation. Then the loop closes on its own. When that happens, holding on no longer sustains growth. It starts to drain it. That's why people drift apart after lessons land. Once information has been exchanged and integrated, the connection that delivered it gently dissolves. It's like having a teacher who only stays long enough for you to realize the skill was always within you. The test ends because the student began to understand. The disappearance isn't rejection. It's trust. You've proven capable of continuing without constant guidance. Yet we rarely recognize that in real time. We chase what's gone instead of seeing that the value wasn't in the presence, but in what it activated inside us. Psychologists studying closure have noticed that people feel more at peace when they reinterpret endings as completions rather than losses. In that light, a farewell isn't a wound. It's a conclusion of purpose. Emotional resilience grows from that understanding because it removes the tug of unfinished business. Once you accept that everything exchanges energy to learn and release, the absence stops feeling cruel. It feels efficient. Things end when integration is complete. That's how the system maintains balance. Maybe we've misunderstood closure entirely. What if closure doesn't begin after goodbye, but during alignment? Maybe it's happening throughout the process. Every shared word, every final silence, each intuitive sense of distance, the completion doesn't strike all at once. It occurs gradually as awareness catches up with what energy already knows. That's why some goodbyes feel calm, even when they hurt. Part of you already registered the ending long before it happened. The real shift happens when you start to see those one-time moments as signatures of growth rather than fragments of loss. A brief friendship, a passing stranger, even this very message, each is a catalyst. They appear, transfer what's needed, and leave space for new frequencies to tune in. The mind panics when cycles close. The soul recognizes the rhythm instantly. When you reach that awareness, presence becomes easier. You stop gripping for permanence and start trusting timing. You let things come, do their work, and leave without chasing them into the past. In that quiet acceptance, something softens because you realize the things that were meant to last are already woven into your awareness. They don't need to appear again for their impact to continue. That understanding is where peace begins. And it's also where the next layer of transformation quietly starts to unfold. There's a point in every message where understanding quietly replaces the need to keep searching. That's when the loop closes. It's not loud or obvious. It just clicks into place. Suddenly what felt like an unanswered question becomes a simple truth. Every conversation, every piece of advice, every moment of reflection passes through the same curve. First recognition, then processing, then absorption. You're not just hearing words anymore. You're turning their energy into something you carry forward without needing to hear them again. That's what integration really means. When what was once external starts operating from within. The interesting part is that most people rarely notice when the shift happens. They keep chasing the next sign, the next video, the next voice that might explain what they think they're still missing. Our minds are wired to keep scanning for novelty. There's comfort in the act of searching because it gives a sense of movement. But that constant scanning can prevent true understanding from settling in. When you're always reaching outward, you don't give your inner system time to process what it's already received. The insight doesn't fade. It just sits waiting. Why do we keep asking for more answers even after getting the one we asked for? Maybe because receiving truth is easy, but living it requires stillness. Sitting in awareness can feel strangely empty after the chase. You're used to the thrill of discovery, not the quiet work of integration. That's the tension of personal growth, the space between knowing and becoming. In that gap, many people run back to the noise, assuming they've missed something when really their own reflection is what they're meant to listen to next. Here's the difference between searching and integrating. Searching is external. It moves you toward things. Integrating is internal. It draws things toward you once your inner system starts recalibrating. External messages lose some of their spark because they no longer serve as fuel. The same signs that used to feel urgent begin to feel redundant. That's not boredom. It's completion. The system has already adjusted to the new frequency. Think of it as emotional metabolism. Once the nourishment has been absorbed, the appetite naturally fades. From a systems thinking point of view, that's exactly how this message functions. It isn't content sitting outside of you. It's input meant to activate internal change. You take in energy through your attention, let it circulate through your thought patterns, and allow it to modify how you process future experiences. The moment the transformation starts, the external source becomes unnecessary. Just like a seedling no longer needs the shell once it's sprouted, you outgrow the medium that delivered the lesson. The energy continues without the carrier. You can see this process in daily life. Take someone who spent years chasing validation, praise, approval, some sign that they're doing enough. Then one day they stop craving it, not because someone finally said the perfect words, but because they've embodied their own worth. They've internalized the lesson that no one else's reaction defines their value. That shift didn't come from a new voice telling them to believe in themselves. It came from repetition dissolving into recognition. The external chase lost its purpose because the message it carried had already been absorbed. Neuroscience offers an explanation for this. When a new understanding stabilizes, neural pathways rewire. Repeated thought patterns build stronger connections until the brain no longer needs active reminders. It performs the habit automatically. The same process happens with emotional learning. After enough reinforcement, the realization becomes default. That's when insight moves from awareness into embodiment. You stop reminding yourself to act differently because the choice is already encoded into how you think. You can feel it when that happens. There's a literal release in the body, like an unclenching. The mental loops quiet down. The urge to seek constant signs fades and stability returns. You realize you're no longer grasping for the next message because the lesson has already taken root. Everything ahead starts to feel lighter, not because life changed, but because your perception adjusted. The searching phase ends as understanding begins to steer on its own. Right now, that same transition might be unfolding in you. The fact that you're absorbing these words and feeling something settle means the message has reached its end point. You've already taken in what needed to be heard. From here, the search can pause, not because there's nothing left to learn, but because the system, your awareness, has reached a state where new input would only echo what you already know. That's the signal of closure. This isn't the end of insight. It's the moment wisdom takes over the role that seeking once filled. The circuit has completed its loop, and the energy is ready to move forward without repeating itself. The reason this message won't appear again is simple. It already fulfilled what it came to do. The moment you felt a click inside, the loop closed. Nothing needs to repeat, because understanding doesn't echo. It settles. You don't have to chase more signs or wait for clearer answers. You're already standing in the clarity you once searched for. Now it's about trusting that stillness and moving forward with quiet confidence. The world will keep shifting, and you'll know how to align with it. This transmission found you once, because that's all it ever needed to do.